The most exciting sound in the world for me as a boy was the slow whoosh whoosh of the big steam engine leaving for Rhyl Beach in North Wales. Every year as summer neared, I counted the days when the whole family would take the train for a week at the seaside. When we set out for the family holiday in late May 1940, we had no idea that the survivors of Dunkirk had just arrived in Rhyl. I was nearly 12 the summer I saw the bodies of the soldiers scattered about the sands. The soldiers were so still, their clothing so torn, their faces so pale, they looked as if they had died where they fell, and yet they had escaped death. Unlike the thousands of their comrades left on battlegrounds in northern France and thousands more on their way to years in German internment camps, the men I saw were the lucky ones. To my frustration, when my dad saw these sprawling clumps of men, he walked along to find out who they were, and I can see him now squatting among them, offering a cigarette here and there, and I was always embarrassed by Dad's readiness to strike up conversations with strangers, but Dad moved among the groups of soldiers most of the morning, and I tagged along. Only 2 years later, when my ambitions to be a newspaper reporter flowered, did I understand that Dad was doing what a good reporter would do, asking questions, listening. We'd been encouraged to celebrate Dunkirk as some kind of victory. A Daily Mirror front page I'd seen pinned up in our boarding house had the headline, "Bloody Marvelous." How was it then Dad found nothing marvelous, only dejection as he moved among the men? The discordance between the waterfront and the front pages was bewildering. The first vague stirring of doubt about my untutored trust in newspapers. What if you couldn't trust a newspaper to tell the truth and nothing but the truth? Which institution was more trustworthy, state or press? Such questions still resonate with me after a lifetime in newspapers, and there have been many times when I have found that what was presented as truth did not square with what I discovered as a reporter, or later as an editor. The epiphany on Rhyl Beach shook my faith in the printed word, but it did not make me averse to newspapers. On the contrary. As I entered my teens, I grew ever more eager to involve myself in their mysteries, but how was I to become a reporter, learn the newspaper trade? I was a working-class boy who had already been branded a failure, having failed to qualify for grammar school, the English equivalent, roughly, of American high school. So, was I reaching too far? What were the pitfalls, the ethical dilemmas, the traps I could barely imagine? How could I equip myself to decode the complex, ever-changing, thrillingly dynamic mosaic of live news and bring it to the public with the raw integrity of truth? And so began my paper chase. March was the cruelest month. On the first day of it in 1982, my father died in North Wales. He was in his 82nd year. He was the hero of my life, and I was deeply affected. The day after his death, Rupert Murdoch, owner of the Sunday Times, where I was editor, wrote me a note of condolence, saying, "A good father and son relationship is one of the best experiences in life. You must take any time you need to attend the necessary family arrangements." 24 hours after my return from the funeral, he summoned me to his office and fired me. "I want your resignation today," he said. My first thought was to refuse. A fight now to protect the Sunday Times was surely the last campaign I should undertake. I thought back to all the ways our great paper had battled government secrecy, intransigent courts, venal corporate overlords. What it took for the Inside Investigative team to unmask Kim Philby as the most successful Soviet spy of the century. You must stop your inquiries. There is a most monstrous danger here. And the ominous tip that it goes to the highest in the land. Despite being warned, we broke open a closed world whose stock in trade is deceit. We not only revealed that Philby was head of MI6's anti-Soviet section, but was Moscow's highest-placed mole and responsible for the death of hundreds of Western agents. We also famously proved that the British security services protected themselves by covering it up. That investigation took 8 months. The next campaign took 10 years. In the UK, more than 450 babies were born seriously deformed as a result of their mothers taking the morning sickness drug thalidomide during pregnancy. Some were born without arms, some without legs, some were limbless trunks. But there was one common feature. They were all in little camps pitched on the outskirts of society. The drug was sold by Distillers Biochemicals, which also happened to be the largest advertiser in my newspaper. After British courts blocked me from publishing our investigation because of ongoing litigation, I took my case to the European Court of Human Rights and prevailed. When our series finally got the public to at last care about these forgotten children, Distillers gave in, giving £20 million to compensate the families, nearly 10 times the original offer. These were the victories. From them, I learned that freedom of the press is a moral concept, or it's nothing. The press is a frail vessel for the hopes it is meant to bear, and good, hard truth is hard to establish, but vital to defend when it is established. Otherwise, everything is relative. I have insufficient reserves of humility to suppress my belief that you cannot beat honest, first-hand reporting when you can get it. Governments may know a lot more about our lives than we care to contemplate, but frequently they know less about the world than we presume. No government can govern well without reliable, independent reporting and criticism. No intelligence system, no bureaucracy can offer the information provided by free, competitive reporting. The cleverest agents of the secret police state are inferior to the plodding reporter of democracy. And so my conviction remains: things are not what they seem on the surface. Dig deeper, dig deeper, dig deeper.